Hey everyone, how's it going? Josh Shepard here, Principal Threat Hunter at RADICL. And on this edition of the Threat Hunters Corner, we're looking into a recent campaign conducted by the Lazarus Group. Lazarus Group is a North Korean nation-state threat actor that spends its time between your traditional nation-state threat actor activity, cyber espionage, cyber spy stuff, as well as e-crime. North Korea directs its nation-state actors a lot of the times to pad the North Korean national defense bottom line. So it does things like cryptocurrency heists, stat extortion campaigns, just generally trying to make a buck through e-crime. This particular campaign called ClickFake follows in line with their general MO of very sophisticated job schemes. This one, when they identify a target organization, they find a victim using LinkedIn and then send a very personalized message to that individual saying they'd be a great fit for a new job opportunity. They'll do the due diligence to make sure the job opportunity matches the background of the victim they're targeting. And this job opportunity will, of course, have amazing benefits, great pay, really the perfect dream job for this victim. At the end of the message, it will direct the victim to click a link and apply for the job. Now, this link will take the victim to an extremely realistic job application website. And they're going to gain trust by making them go through the entire gauntlet that is applying for a job. They're uploading a resume, they're answering demographic questions, they're agreeing to terms and conditions. And then the final step of this application process is doing a video and microphone check. Now, this is where things start to get a little malicious. The video and microphone check will, of course, come back as a failure, and then a pop-up will appear directing the user to run a specific command. Now, this campaign is directed at both Windows and macOS users. This is determined by the victim's user agent when they visit the job application website. And in the event that it is a Windows device that has made it to the microphone and video check, they'll be prompted to run your Windows R, type in CMD, and then paste in a curl command. This curl command is what eventually brings down the backdoor that is written in Go to allow the North Korean threat actor persistent access to that machine. On the macOS side of the house, the threat actor directs the user to run your command spacebar to open up your search and then to enter in terminal and run the command, which again is a curl command to bring down what eventually results in a Go backdoor. Now, in terms of the actual execution flow, so that copied and pasted curl command will reach out to the adversary controlled server, first bring down a .zip file. This .zip file contains a bash script for our Mac users and a VBS script for our Windows users. This will in turn reach out to another C2 server to bring down that final Go payload. Now, this is a fascinating technique from a social engineering perspective in the sense that you build quite a bit of trust with the end user by creating a frustrating and normal experience, right? This user is going through a job application. So by the end of it, of course they're going to follow along. This all seems on the up and up. The fake LinkedIn profile that reached out to them has a bunch of legitimacy around it in terms of number of followers and posts and all that goodness there. And the rest of the experience kind of just lulls the user into a false sense of security. So what do we look for in this type of situation, right? From a detection perspective, something you can do right off the bat is if we're looking at specifically on the Windows side, that command R followed by a command prompt being executed, or the Windows R followed by a command prompt being executed. You could create some type of analytic around explorer.exe, spawning a CMD process that in turn spawns a curl command. That general execution flow is a great way just to find something that's potentially suspicious. Now, there are times when, an administrator, an IT professional will be running that series of commands, but that should be easily tunable. So that'd be definitely step one in terms of looking for something suspicious. The second piece you could look for is really any type of curl command referencing a VBS, SH, or zip file. Now, again, this is going to be prone to false positives because there may be legitimate activity around curl downloading these file types. However, again, this should hopefully be easily tuned to your IT or your software development teams. as your traditional user, especially in places like marketing or finance or HR, will not be using curl to download zip, sh, or vbs files. So these are a couple ways we could look for this type of activity. The other protective measure is definitely user education, right? You've got to educate users on the evolving techniques that threat actors are using on a social engineering front. To say, hey, not only do you have to, put suspicions rather on the initial link click, but then always keep your tinfoil hat on, right? Always be paranoid. If a random website is asking you to run a script, don't do it. That should be a general rule of thumb, one that isn't really in a lot of security awareness trainings right now. So just make sure to warn your users, hey, if website's asking you to run a script, don't do it. Reach out to IT, let them know, and then work from there. So very interesting campaign. A couple suggestions around what you could look for from a detection perspective, as well as to help your users avoid this type of social engineering technique. As always, if you got any questions, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next edition of the Threat Hunters Corner. You stay safe out there.